Alrighty, staffer, you ready? And thank you. Today has been a crazy day. We did Ways and Means at 8 o'clock, or early, kind of at brunch, and then we had joint. Now we're back here, so thank you very, very much. You've had a tough day. So with that, for all you folks that hung out, we are just going to do work session. So if you're expecting a hearing on a bill, that is not going to happen at this moment in time. We just need to get things work sessioned and down to the floor and get them moved so that they can get back to their house of origin. So give us a moment. We're going to put together our work session discussion, and then we'll go from there. All right, committee members. Just one on there. Okay. So with that, committee members, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing, we'll be doing work session. So we'll be work sessioning SB 24, 68, 128, 185, 212, 276, and those are the bills that we'll be work sessioning tonight, in addition to AB 495. Oh, and I'm sorry, we had one on a separate list. SB 455 will be work sessioning also. Okay? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and have Ms. Kaufman walk us through our work session. Ms. Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 425, or excuse me, Senate Bill 24 revises various provisions governing the requirements and approval of a program of workforce development and the administration of the Workforce Innovation for a New Nevada account by the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I would point out that during the hearing today, there was some discussion related to the reversionary clauses related to this bill, and there was discussion that there was back language that would allow for the workforce innovation of a new Nevada account to be balanced forward in the first year and then reverted in the second year. There was parallel language in there as well, but it was the discussion of the committee that the funding would be reverted, Madam Chair, and if that's the decision, then it would be an amendment to pass.
Thank you very much, Ms. Coffin. If you'll remember the conversations earlier today about the parallel language that was in the Appropriations Act and the conversations about money just being able to roll forward through different bienniums. They can move it from the first year to the second year, but after the second year, we need to see where they are. That money should revert back to the general fund, and then we should start over. We just can't keep rolling money forward. So in order to work with that parallel language that we have, that would be the chair's wishes, is to put that reversion language back in, have those dollars revert back to the general fund as everyone else does, and then have a conversation about how the funding would move forward in the future. So this was a reprint. So are there any questions or comments at this time? Not seeing any. So this would be an amend and do pass as amended with that language. I'll take a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Wait a minute.
Was it an amendment on the Senate side?
Well, it's reprint number 2. So we're working from a reprint, so it would be an amend and do pass as amended.
If it was amended on the Senate, we don't.
Oh, okay. You don't have to do that. Oh, we don't acknowledge their amendments. I wish we could do more of that. No, shh. Don't say that. Okay. So with that, it would just be an amend and do pass. Okay. So I apologize. I'll ask the first and second to withdraw that motion, and I'll do it again. I'm so used to moving assembly bills. So with that, it would be an amend and do pass from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously of the members present. And I believe the next one would be SB 68.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 68, as amended, revises various provisions governing the investment of certain monies held by the state. The bill eliminates the prohibition against investments of the state's general portfolio in a reverse purchase agreement. The measure also increases from $50 million to $75 million the maximum amount of money the state treasurer is authorized to transfer from the state permanent school fund to a corporation for public benefits to provide private equity funding to businesses engaged in certain industries that are located or seeking to locate in Nevada. And finally, Senate Bill 68 increases from $40 million to $60 million the maximum allowable amount of the state's permanent school fund the state treasurer is authorized to use to guarantee outstanding bonds issued by the school districts. I would note that Treasurer Conine presented this bill, and there are no amendments that are recommended.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kaufman. So with that, committee members, we had the treasurer here this morning. Are there any questions or comments? Not seeing anyone, this would just be a do pass. So I would accept the motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition. In opposition, I have Dr. Titus, Mr. Hafen, and Mr. Roberts in opposition. Motion carries. So with that, I believe our next bill would be SB 128.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 128 requires the state treasurer to contract with one or more qualified independent consultants to conduct a study concerning the effectiveness of publicly funded scholarships and grant programs in Nevada. The study must include a comprehensive review of student outcomes for scholarships and grant recipients, as well as a review of ways such programs are administered. Additionally, the study must evaluate the financial viability of these programs and the projected future costs of their administration. Finally, Senate Bill 128 provides that the costs of carrying out the study must be paid from the endowment account created by the state treasurer. With regard to the fiscal impact, the treasurer's office is estimating the study to cost between $75,000 to $125,000, and as previously indicated, that shall be funded with the endowment account proceeds. There are no amendments for this, and Senator Dennis and Treasurer Conine presented this bill.
Okay, thank you very much. Committee members, are there any questions or concerns? I typically don't like using the endowment account for things along this line. I think there can sometimes be some issues with that, but we know that we've had issues with the Millennium Scholarship. We would need to know where we really stand with it. And we've heard so many different bills for NSHE and waivers and tuition and fees being offset in some way that I think it would be good to be able to get a real analysis on what's going forward, so that when you're sitting in these chairs in the future, you have real information to work from. So, hearing no other questions or comments, this would be a do pass. So with that, I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously of the members present. With that, we'll go on to SB 185.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 185 makes a general fund appropriation of $250,000 in each year of the 2021-23 biennium to the Department of Veteran Services to provide financial assistance and support for the Adopt-A-Vet dental program. Linda Hay from the Adopt-A-Vet dental program presented this bill, and there are no amendments.
Thank you very much. Committee members, are there any questions or comments? We have been funding them for a number of years, and it's good to hear that they're finally going to be able to get to Southern Nevada. So hopefully if this program grows, it'll end up becoming a regular thing. So just keep an eye on it. So with that, I believe this would be a do pass. So with that, I'll take a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And in opposition? Hearing none, passes unanimously of the members present. I believe we can go ahead and move on to Senate Bill 212.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 212, as amended, revises the provisions relating to the use of force for peace officers, requiring certain law enforcement agencies to adopt a written policy relating to the use of force and to submit to the Central Repository for Nevada Records of Criminal History certain information relating to the incident involving the use of force by peace officers. In addition, Senate Bill 212 imposes certain restrictions and requirements regarding the use of restriction chairs and prohibits peace officers from using certain forms of force under certain circumstances. There were some fiscal notes on here from the Nevada System of Higher Education, as well as the Division of Records, Communication, and Compliance. However, those fiscal impacts have been addressed, and there are no more fiscal impacts to this bill as a result of the amendments.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kaufman. Are there any questions on SB 276? It was amended in Assembly Judiciary, so this would be a do pass as amended. Thank you, Mr. Leiser. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno for a do pass as amended, second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any in opposition? Okay, it's Dr. Titus, Mr. Hafen, Ms. Tolles, Mr. Levitt, Mr. Roberts. That's beginning to roll off the tongue. Here we go. Alrighty. So I believe The last bill for work session, if my list and your list is correct, Ms. Kaufman would be. Okay, wait a second. We just did 276. Oh, 212. I got ahead. So the next bill would be 276. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 276 imposes a $15 technology fee on applicants for the issuance or renewal of certain licenses, certifications, permits, and registrations for the issuance or that are issued by the Real Estate Division. The bill requires the money collected from the technology fee imposed on each type of profession or occupation be deposited in a newly created technology account to be administered by the administrator of the division. The bill further specifies that money collected from the technology fee does not revert to the state general fund at the end of the fiscal year and must only be used to acquire or improve the technology used by the division. With regards to the fiscal impact, the Real Estate Division identified a fiscal impact resulting in an additional revenue estimated at $255,000 in each year of the 2021-23 biennium and $510,000 in future biennia. The agency's fiscal note identifies approximately 34,000 licensees would incur the $15 technology fee over the biennium, and roughly 17,000 of those licensees are expected to renew in each fiscal year of the biennium due to the 2-year renewal cycle. This bill does not have any recommended amendments, and it was presented by Senator Dennis.
Okay, with that, committee members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, I believe there were no proposed amendments. This would be a due pass, correct? So with that, I would accept a due pass from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Dr. Titus is in opposition. With that, motion carries. And then we wanted to add 455. So we'll go ahead and go to Senate Bill 455.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 455 requires a person certified in nuclear medicine technology, radiation therapy, or nuclear medicine to also receive training approved by the Division of Public and Behavioral Health. The bill authorizes a person licensed to engage in radiation therapy and radiologic imaging to perform computed topography, upon the completion of training, or if the person is credentialed under approved programs by the division. Finally, the bill authorizes a person licensed to engage in radiation therapy and radiological imaging and is certified as a radiation therapy to perform fluoroscopy thank you, to the individual is, if an individual is certified to practice the area of radiography, has completed approved training and holds appropriate credentials of the division. There are no recommended amendments, and this was presented by Senator Cannizzaro.
Okay, and this would be a due pass. Let me make sure I have the correct agenda for me. So that's 455. Okay, so committee members, any questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion would be a due pass. I'll accept it from Ms. Monroe Moreno. Second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Dr. Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, I do understand the intent of this bill, and it is to hopefully continues further qualification of people who do fluoroscopy and other radiological studies. The problem is in the rules and some of the other hard to fill positions, this is actually going to decrease a problem with decreased access to care, because I know 2 techs right now that will be harmed by this, that when these folks retire, we won't be able to replace them. And again, it's going to put a hole in some of our diagnostic abilities in the rules, and I'm sure in other areas too. So I will have to be a no on this. Thank you.
Okay. With that, committee members, any other questions? Not seeing anything else before us, so all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Dr. Titus and Mr. Hafen are in opposition. Motion carries. Hold on for just a moment. Okay, so there are a couple other bills we can move also that are ready. So committee, we're going to address, let me make sure I have the right list. Senate Bill 274. And Senate Bill 390. And I'll have Ms. Kaufman walk us through it when she's ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 274 revises provisions relating to receiving centers, which are secured facilities that operate 24 hours per day, 7 days per week, to provide specialized inpatient and outpatient services to commercially sexually exploited children. Senate Bill 274 postpones from July 1st, 2022 to July 1st, 2023, the effective date of existing provisions that prohibit the adjudication of a child who is alleged to have violated certain provisions of the law related to prostitution as delinquent or in need of supervision or the detention of such child if there is a reasonable cause to believe that the child is commercially sexually exploited. With regards to the fiscal impact, the Division of Child and Family Services did identify that $86,944 in each year would be required. However, this is in federal funds and there is no general fund requirement to support one contracted position to meet the requirements of this bill. Senator Ratty was the senator who presented this bill, and there are no recommended amendments.
With that, committee members, I believe we can go ahead and process SB 274 with the conversations with Senator Ratty and the counties at the table. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, so this would be a due pass, correct, Ms. Kaufman? So I would accept a due pass from Ms. Monroe Moreno and a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously of the members present. And I believe that would take us to SB 390.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 390 requires the Division of Public Behavioral Health of the Department of Health and Human Services to support the implementation of a hotline that may be accessed by dialing 988 for people considering suicide or otherwise in a behavioral health crisis. Senate Bill 390 as amended further creates the Fund for a Resilient Nevada to hold the proceeds of certain litigation by the state concerning the manufacture, distribution, sale, and marketing of opioids, and to provide for the use of the money for statewide projects and distribution of grants to regional, local, and tribal governments and private sector organizations for projects that address the impact of opioids use disorder and other substance use disorders. With regards to the fiscal note, there were several fiscal notes that were submitted by local governments. However, the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Public Behavioral Health has identified no fiscal impact. And with that, Madam Chair, there are no amendments, and Senator Ratty presented this bill.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kaufman. Are there any questions from the committee? It had a number of different components. The one I was interested in the most was the opioid work that's going to be done and the grants and how the settlement dollars will actually be used and how we'll be able to track settlement dollars when it comes to how this goes forward. So not seeing any questions or comments, this would be a due pass. I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Medinos Thompson. Any question or comment on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Hearing none, passes unanimously of the members present. Hold on for just a moment. Okay, committee members, we have one more and then we'll have our AB bill. So we had Senate Bill 96, which was the autism bill that Senator Orenshaw worked with us on. As we worked through the hearing process, there was an additional appropriation that was going to be needed, that the Senate did not, our colloquialism was put on the sheet, so it has not been accounted for. And we have hit that stage of the game where adding extra dollars right now is very difficult to do. So in order to try to be able to provide the services but balance out the dollars with the additional funding that would have been needed from ADSD? Yes. From ADSD, if the committee would like to consider, rather than the 62 per dollar an hour rate, if we went to a $52 per hour rate, the general fund appropriation for the biennium would be $2,968,042, which would draw down $3,631,492 from the federal government. And that would give us the room to be able to address the fiscal note that showed up on the Assembly side and not on the Senate side. So currently, if I remember correctly, they're at about $20 an hour as far as a rate goes. And we ran a couple of different scenarios to be able to address that particular fiscal note and not have the dollars go beyond where we have the capability to go right now. We don't want to go backwards. We want to take a step forwards, but we can't take the whole step forwards right now because the dollar amount is just prohibitive for us at this moment. So, Ms. Benitez Thompson, did you have a comment?
Thank you so much, yeah. And I want to appreciate
Senator, go
Mr.
ahead and come up.
Young, because I called him yesterday and said, can you help me see if we can help make this more budget friendly? And his team was wonderful and it looks like has been running numbers. And so the rate right now is 31 that's paid by Medicaid and ATAP, and then the commercial rate is 62. So we are 30, I mean, it's half, right? And so the idea was if we could kind of set a floor and say that the rate shall not be less than 52, but ideally, but still have language that would allow the division to go up to the market rate. So we know that the language will stay in place about doing a study and then coming back to talk about what that comparable market rate is. So that will stay in there. And so the idea is that we would still make a big jump forward and then we don't overspend and cause our end fund balance to drop too low. But we move it up and we set a floor. It's not as high as we want to set, but we still keep the language in there with the flexibility that to kind of to bring that rate up if we're able to, and we can watch utilization through the biennium to see how that utilization looks and if dollars are moving the way that we thought. So that was kind of my best attempt at problem solving on this. I think it's a good step.
And thank you, Ms. Benitez Thompson, and the fact that we had a fiscal note show up after it had already come out of the first house so late in the game, being able to address a fiscal note that is close to $1.5 million to be able to do that, we had to be able to figure out how do we make a step forward, but yet still stay within that dollar amount that we had already planned on. So by going to the $52 per hour amount rate, it's not the 62, but it's definitely better than where they are now. And hopefully it'll keep everyone in services because honestly, if I was doing a job for $38 an hour right now and a couple of weeks from now or so, my rate went to $52 an hour, I think I might be happy with that. Even though it's not quite the same as commercial insurance, it still puts people in the ballpark. So Senator Orenshaw, you're at the table, you've heard the discussion. We're trying to do everything we can to make this fiscally work for you. So, comments?
Chair Carlton and Majority Leader Benitez Thompson, thank you very much for working so hard on this bill. And, you know, I know that we can't perhaps get to where I'd originally hoped to get, but I think it's a great step, and I can't thank you enough in the committee for trying to help these children who are on Medicaid and in the ATAP program. And I just wanted to be clear then that that $52 rate would apply to Medicaid and the ATAP program. That floor of 52 for the therapists, so that both groups of kids could try to get that additional help.
I think we can have staff clarify, but I think that our understanding is the way that the numbers were worked was using $52 to come up with our budget total on both sides. But if I'm incorrect, which I haven't really slept in more than 4-hour increments now for about a month, please go ahead and correct me. I might be incorrect.
Mr. Young?
Deputy Administrator Dwayne Young for the record. Chair Carlson, through you to the Majority Leader. The rates that we calculated was based off of $52 rates, and that's comparable in both Medicaid and in ADSD for the ATAP program. And so that's what those numbers. The language that the majority leader worked with us on sets that really as the floor. The language is that we could do the study, but if we had a surplus towards the end of the biennium or a rollover within the first year of the biennium, then we could come back to IFC and ask for an adjustment for that rate to move that rate closer to the actual market rate of $62. I do just want to put on the record that that is a difficult discussion for Medicaid because we don't separate bucket while we track buckets in different services. If a service like RTCs or some other service has an explosionary year, we may not necessarily have that surplus to move there, but this floor would set a minimum guarantee of what the rate would be effective at the date of the bill.
So Senator Ornschall, how do you feel about that?
I think it'll help a lot of kids. I think it'll help reduce the wait times for kids on Medicaid and ATAP to try to get work with a therapist. And I really thank the committee for working so hard. Thank Majority Leader Benitez Thompson. Thank you, Chair, for trying to
You're
work so hard to
welcome.
help these kids, because I think a lot of the kids on Medicaid and ATAP haven't had the same opportunities the kids on private insurance have had. So thank you.
Absolutely. We should treat them all the same. So we just want to make sure that the committee members are comfortable and understand where we're going. Are there any questions from anyone at this time?
I did also want to note for the record that if I am remembering correctly too, in the ADSD budget for the ATAP program, we held on to some positions that I think in GovRec were initially slated to be either held vacant or eliminated. But I believe that we were able to keep them, and I think that that will go a long way because we know that kind of staffing in that program was one of the things that the audit pointed out as being a contributing factor to the wait list as well. So I hope that by doing a couple of different things here, it's going to come together and that it will all be greater than the sum of its parts.
Okay. Any questions from any other committee members at this time? Not seeing any. I am not going to try this motion the way my brain is right now. I'm going to let Ms. Kaufman make sure that we do this correctly and move forward, because we will be having to amend the bill, correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair. So the amendment would essentially reduce the hourly rate from $62 per hour to $52 per hour. And so the amendment would then provide the Division of Aging and Disability Services general fund appropriations of $306,501 in fiscal year 2022 and $613,002 in 2023. With regards to Medicaid administration account, general fund appropriations of $42,595 in fiscal year 2022, $52,243 in fiscal year 2023, with authorizations of $46,596 in fiscal year 2022, and $52,243 in fiscal year 2023. And finally, general fund appropriations to the Medicaid account of $327,476 in 2022, and $1,626,586 in fiscal year 2023, with authorizations of $654,260 in fiscal year 2022 and $2,878,393 in fiscal year 2023.
So committee members, please, any questions? You heard the general fund side of the equation, and the authorization side is the federal dollars that will be pulled down to match these services. So we're trying to make sure we get the best use out of the dollars we put in, but trying to stay within the original bucket of money that came out of the Senate because of the just where we are right now with the budget. We need to stay within a certain parameter. Not hearing any other questions, I don't believe there, and the other parts of the bill would be the same, we're just changing these particular parts. So with that, committee members, if you're comfortable, Ms. Benitez Thompson, this would be an amend and do pass.
Amend and do pass. So
Thank you.
moved.
And Ms. Monroe Moreno is a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously of the members present. Thank you, Senator Orenshall, for all your hard work for these kids over all these years.
Thank you very much, Chair Carlton. Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you, committee members. I really think you've done something tonight that will make a difference in so many kids' lives and not only improve outcomes, but reduce kids who end up in juvenile justice, getting arrested, and thank you.
You're welcome. So with that, that takes care of 96. So with that, I believe we can go back to what I really hope is our last AB bill, is Assembly Bill 495.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 495 would create a new excise tax on the gross proceeds of profitable gold or silver mining companies that report gross revenues greater than $20 million annually. Revenues from the new mining tax will be temporarily deposited into the state's general fund and begin to be deposited in the state education fund beginning in July of 2023. The bill also provides $200 million from the state's allocation of federal COVID relief funds in the Nevada Department of Education for grants that could support programs to compensate for learning loss during the pandemic. It also provides $4,745,000 for tax credits for a state's Opportunity Scholarship Program. It also provides $50,895 in fiscal year 2022 and $104,354 in fiscal year 2023 for the Division of Healthcare Finance and Policy for personal care services. And finally, it also appropriates $600,000 per fiscal year to the Silver State Opportunity Grants. I would note that during the hearing, there was a discussion related to an amendment that would provide the Commission on School Funding to look at the composition of school boards to determine what the appropriate composition should be. And I believe there was also some discussions related to the effective date of July 1st, 2022, but I do not actually have a paper document related to those amendments, so appreciate any help I can get on that one.
And so with that, I believe there was a dollar change encapsulated in the bill where it was $6 million in each year, and that should be $600,000. I know the difference between those two numbers, so it's $600,000. Somebody added an extra zero in each of fiscal year on that, and I don't believe there were any other changes at this time. But I will go to speaker as far as clarifying any of the other amendments that need to be done.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'm going to go in reverse order. There was, in addition to the typographical error with 6 million versus 600,000, there was conceptually adding that the composition of local school boards would be added, and at the time the conversation was added to the section dealing with the Commission on School Funding. Subsequently, in talking with stakeholders that raised issues, the preferred route would be to refer that to Interim Committee on Education instead of the Commission on School Funding. So that's the one, the second conceptual amendment. The next is reference to charter schools, and I believe it was page 59 or page 60. Section 59 or 60. There we go. Yeah, Section 59, there's two mentions of charter schools that were not intended to be included in this section. The first is in the bill itself, lines 16 to 17, and then line 25. But nevertheless, in Section 59, removing the reference to charter schools. And then the last issue was changing the date of the report due back. It's currently November the 1st. There was a request to change that to November the 15th. I have since been provided with some concerns about how changing it to the 15th might complicate things further. So while I still want to resolve that, I think I can't fully informed propose to change it from November 1st to November 15th, but I want to get some further information, so that might end up being a floor amendment.
Mr. Speaker, then we'll keep it November the 1st until you change it from there. So we'll keep the original language. So there won't be a proposed amendment on that. There'll be a proposed amendment in Section 59 dealing with the charter schools. As far as the school board issue not going to the commission, the proposed amendment that happened in the committee, there's been other conversations. They would like, folks are interested in that going to the interim committee on education. The committee could just send a letter of intent to the future committee on education, asking them to look at it. It wouldn't necessarily need to be an amendment, but if you would be more comfortable with it as an amendment, we can do that. So it's really your choice. We can do it either way.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that particular issue, I'd be more comfortable with it being an amendment.
So we would encapsulate it in the amendment would also be that issue of that the school board issue would go to the interim education committee to look at, make that one of their charges over the interim.
That's correct.
Okay.
And with respect to the date, I intend upon us adjourning in committee to, for those folks, so anybody who might start to blow my phone up right after that, I intend on getting to the bottom of what the issues are and resolving it fairly quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much. So with that, we can, Mr. Speaker, I believe all the effective dates were correct, as was my understanding. I just want to confirm.
They were. There was a conversation about, apparently I may have inadvertently mentioned a date that was not the date that's in the bill. The dates in the bill are correct.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. That's what I had marked down, but I just wanted to confirm with you. So, committee members, are there any other questions at this time? So those would be the proposed amendments. And I'm sure conversations are going to continue on this no matter what. Not hearing any other questions or comments, so I would accept a motion to amend and to pass with the discussed motions that we just had. I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments on the motion? Mr. Roberts?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the work that we've done behind the scenes over the past couple months with the Speaker. I know we discussed some amendments tonight. I know there's some more forthcoming. We'll continue those discussions. As you mentioned, tonight I'll be a no until we resolve those. Thank you.
And just for the committee's edification and the public and those in the room, with the time constraints, things can't stop while they're being discussed. They still have to move down the track parallel to the conversation so that they're staged in the appropriate place, so that when it comes time to fulfill those commitments and those discussions, the bill is sitting in the right place at the right time. Otherwise, we will run out of time because we are literally at, 23 hours right now. So having the bill sit in a committee and not move would be an issue. So the bill needs to keep moving forward as conversations continue to happen. So with that, any other questions or comments? Ms. Tolles?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too really appreciate all the conversations. And I do appreciate moving things forward, but I think it's, I don't want it to be misleading that if those issues are not unresolved, I hope to get to a yes by the floor, but as of now, I'm a no.
All right, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had comment. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Nay. So Dr. Titus, Mr. Haven, Ms. Tolles, Mr. Levitt, and Mr. Roberts. That's very interesting. With that, the motion does carry, and the bill will be reported to the floor while conversations continue. So with that, committee members, I don't believe at this time I have anything else in front of us, but let me double check. Committee members, we have a few more we can get sent down to the floor. So with that, I'll have Ms. Kaufman walk us through them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 5, as amended, makes various changes to telehealth. Senate Bill 5 requires third-party payers to cover health care services in the same amount as services provided in person or by other means. The bill also requires the Department of Health and Human Services, to the extent money is available, to establish a data dashboard that allows the analysis of data related to telehealth access. The Division of Public and Behavioral Health on May 7th submitted a letter stating that in the view of amendment number 174, the fiscal impact could be removed, and as such, it does not appear that there are any fiscal notes that need to be addressed at this time, and there are no amendments proposed.
Okay, committee members, are there any questions on SB 5 at this time? This bill originated from the Patient Protection Commission, was meant to deal with some telehealth issues. I know I would be much more comfortable with it if it was sunsetted in the future, but I understand what they're trying to do, knowing full well that we'll be able to, you all will be able to get data on it in the next couple of years. I know there was some concerns that were expressed about some CMS guidance and conversations that a couple of members had, so I just need to know, are there any other questions on SB 5 at this time? Not seeing any, so this would be a do pass. I would. Oh, it was. Thank you. Do pass as amended. Thank you, Mr. Leiser. It's hard to tell from reprints when it was amended, so thank you. Do pass as amended. So with that, committee members, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, second from Ms. Peters. Comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Hearing no opposition, I believe it passes unanimously of the members present. That is SB 5. The next bill, Ms. Kaufman?
Was the one where you wanted to add the Medicaid, and so we would have to add these pieces.
Right.
And then we were just.
I want PEB to use it out of reserves the first year, put it in contingency for the second year for them to come. Members, we're going to consider SB 290. This was Senator Lang's bill concerning the step therapy and cancer. Ms. Kaufman, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 290, so the third reprint requires certain health insurers to allow an insured who has been diagnosed with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer or an attending practitioner of the insured to apply for an exemption from the step therapy protocol. If the insured grants the exception, the bill requires the health insurer to provide coverage for the requested prescription drugs in accordance with the terms of applicable health insurance policy. With regards to the fiscal impact, I would note that there was some discussion related to providing this this coverage for Medicaid, and in that discussion, it was determined that an additional $765,814 in fiscal year 2022 and $753,976 in fiscal year 2023 would be needed. With regards to the insurance that's provided by the Public Employees Benefits Program, there was some discussion related to the costs associated with that, and it was indicated that it would cost approximately $713,000 in each year of the biennium to provide this coverage. There was also some discussion related to the ability for PEB to cover this with their excess reserves, and there was some discussion also related to potentially covering it with 1 year excess reserves and potentially putting the $713,000 in the second year in the IFC contingency account in order for PEB to come forth to the Interim Finance Committee if that money is required.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman, and if the committee members will remember when we had the conversation with Mr. Young and Senator Lang, the numbers that we were given and the amount of federal dollars that were going to be pulled down in relationship to the dollars that the general fund were gonna be put in were pretty substantial. The match was surprising to me. I did not realize that match would be at that level. So in order, if we ante in our part, we do bring a lot more federal dollars into the state to provide this, this treatment for Medicaid patients. And I have always believed that we don't treat a cancer patient any differently depending upon their insurance, whether it's private, health and welfare trust, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. If they have cancer, they all deserve to be treated the same way. PEB was included in the bill, and there is an amount listed. We believe PEB can absorb the first year, and we are going to put the amount in a contingency fund for the second year. If they do need it, they can come get it. But if their reserves are still where they are, because we don't know the future of healthcare in the next 18 months and what those reserves and what utilization will really look like, if they need it, they can come get it. And if they don't, it'll be there and it can be used for something else in the future. Don't want to give PEB money. They're just going to stick in a larger reserve than they already have. So with that, committee members, are there any questions or conversations on where we're going on SB 290? Seeing none, Ms. Kaufman.
Madam Chair, I should also provide on the record, too, that if the amounts that are recommended for Medicaid are approved, there is also the federal amounts, too, that you had just indicated, and that is in fiscal year 2022, $4,716,155, and in 2023, $4,470,290. So that would need to be amended into the bill as authorizations.
Okay, so we would put in the appropriation and we would also put in the authorization so that Medicaid could use the dollars as they pull them down from the federal government. Any other questions or comments from the committee at this time? Seeing none, so I think we've thoroughly discussed the amendment and know where we're going. So it was not amended in the Senate Commerce and Labor Committee, I don't believe, in this House. It was? So the motion for this would be amend and do pass as amended with the discussion points that we had, and we'll make sure that amendment is buttoned up very tightly as we move forward. Comments? Hearing none. I'll accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Dr. Titus. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those, Ms. Benitez Thompson? A question? Oh, Dr. Titus beat you to the punch this time. Okay. So with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously of all the members present. Ms. Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 40, as amended. Senate Bill 40 authorizes the Department of Health and Human Services to establish an all-payer claims database for information relating to health insurance claims resulting from medical, dental, and pharmacy benefits provided in Nevada to the extent federal funding is available. Senate Bill 40 appropriates general fund appropriations of $24,970 fiscal year 2022 and $300,188 in fiscal year 2023 to the Division of Healthcare Financing and Policy for the costs associated with establishing the operating of the all-payer claims database. There are no recommended amendments for this particular bill.
Making myself a note so that I remember. So committee members, are there any questions on SB 40? Ms. Shahagian from the Patient Protection Commission presented this. This was a bill from the Patient Protection Commission in dealing with the all-payer claims database. This is the way we get the data to make the decisions in the future. Seeing none, with that, I would accept a motion to do pass from Ms. Monroe Moreno, a second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And in opposition. Dr. Titus is in opposition, Mr. Hafen is in opposition, Mr. Levitt, Mr. Roberts is in opposition, and Ms. Tolles is in opposition. Okay. So with that, we can move on to the next bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 154. As Senate Bill 154, as amended, requires the Department of Health and Human Services to apply for a waiver from the federal government to receive federal funding to include in the state plan for Medicaid coverage for substance use disorder treatment for individuals in an institution for mental disease. With regards to the fiscal impact, there was an unsolicited fiscal note from the Department of Health and Human Services, Healthcare Financing and Policy, which indicated that would have a fiscal impact of $49,000 in fiscal year 2022, and a savings of $140,000 in $140,411 in fiscal year 2023. However, I would point out that there was a section in the Appropriations Act, Section 90, which provided that savings that is incurred in the Medicaid account would cover the costs associated with the fiscal impact that has been identified for the HHS Director's Office, and so there is no amendments required for this bill to address the fiscal impact.
Thank you very much. So the first year will cost us a little money, the second year will make a little money, and it'll all work out, pretty much. So with that, and we can count one against the other so we don't go in the hole. This is SB 154. So committee members, any questions on SB 154? Not seeing any. So this would be a do pass. I have a motion from Ms. Benitez Thompson to do pass, a second from Dr. Titus. Any questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. And those in opposition? Hearing no opposition, passes unanimously, the members present. Ms. Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next bill is Senate Bill 380. Senate Bill 380, as amended, requires the Department of Health and Human Services to compile a list of prescription drugs with a wholesale acquisition cost that exceeds $40 for a course of therapy, and requires a wholesaler of prescription drugs to report to the department certain information concerning the drugs on the list in accordance with regulations adopted by the department. The bill also authorizes the imposition of an administrative penalty against wholesalers that fail to report the required information. And finally, Senate Bill 380 requires an insurer that offers or issues a policy for individual health insurance to publish on the internet website the list of prescription drugs with a wholesale acquisition cost that exceeds $40 for a course therapy. With regards to the fiscal impact, there was some indication that it would cost $160,000 in fiscal year 2022, $180,000 in fiscal year 2023 to transfer SQL database to EATS and the database maintenance. This is to staff the operations of the program. The agency indicates that contract staff would be required. However, there was discussion and it was indicated that the reserve for the account could absorb this fiscal impact, and so there is no amendments recommended.
But the contract staff will be still included, and since it's contracted, we don't need to actually add positions at all, but they will be contracting the staff.
Madam Chair, that is correct.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make, the goal was to get the positions in there. We can't keep asking folks to do the work and not give them the people to get the work done. So with that, are there any questions on SB 380? Seeing none, there were no proposed amendments?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so this would be a do pass. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I would accept a motion from Ms. Monroe Moreno to do pass. A second from Ms. Benitez Thompson. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those in opposition? Dr. Titus, Mr. Haven, Ms. Tolles, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Levitt. Okay, with that, motion carries. Ms. Kaufman? think that's it. Okay, we think we've cleared the decks, but we just picked up 5 more bills a couple hours ago, and we still have the ones from today, which we did not finish, which will be on tomorrow morning. And then the new ones, so we will have to do those. There's a couple outstandings, folks working on them to either clear fiscal notes or get amendments to be dealt with. So Ms. Benitez Thompson was working on SB 108 for an amendment to SB 108. We'd like to be able to do that tomorrow morning, Ms. Benitez Thompson, if it's possible to do that tomorrow morning. And then I believe there was one other you were working on an amendment for, so we'll try to take those two as early as possible in the morning so that we have time to get the amendments drafted and get them to the floor. Okay? So with that, committee members, any other questions or comments at this time? No? So with that, we will go ahead and take public comment. Is there any public comment to come before the committee in the room at this time? Not seeing any public comment here. I don't think there's anybody on Zoom. They all went to sleep. They're smarter than us. And broadcast services, is there anyone on the phone line for public comment?
If you would like to make public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. However, we have no callers on the line at this time.
Thank you very much, broadcast services, for hanging tough with us all day. We're probably going to see you pretty early tomorrow morning. So with that, committee members, we are adjourned. We are posted at 8. I apologize. Let's see how long the floor goes, and if that changes, I'll let you know. But on the last day, every hour counts. So we will be more than likely seeing you at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. With that, we are adjourned.